Hello everyone, this is Mike with MADMAN Review. Boy oh boy, do we have some really good news for all of you viewers and our dearest subscribers who love Glock. After what seemed like an eternity, Gaston decided to finally innovate. This year, he decided to give us a brand spanking new Glock pistol, the Glock 47. Do you have any idea what this means? This changes everything. What it is a breath of fresh air, definitely nothing like all the other Glock pistols that came before it. Now, some of you, longtime subscribers of the channel, know that we are some of the most vocal critics of Gaston and his outdated pistols for years. No matter how we try, we just can't stop talking about why we think Glock has been resting on its laurels for over 3 decades. Well, hopefully, that will all change in this video, thanks to Gaston's game changer, the Glock 47. If you're curious to know what this new Glock pistol is all about and whether you should or shouldn't buy one, stick around to the end of this video. You don't want to miss any of this. And without further ado, let's begin. The slide. To start off, let's talk about the first thing that everyone looks at when they see any kind of pistol, the slide. The Glock 47 has a full-size slide that is almost identical to that of the Glock 17 if it weren't for the differences in overall lengths and sight radii, which are fairly minute. Both the Glock 47s and the Glock 17 slides measure 1 inch in width, but the Glock 47 slide has a length of 7.95 inches, 80 thousandths of an inch shorter than the Glock 17 slide that measures 8.03 inches. This infinitesimal difference is due to the fact that in a nutshell, the Glock 47 is just a full-size version of the Glock 19. That means the Glock 17 slide will not fit the Glock 47's frame. Then again, there's no real reason to do that. If you have a Glock 17 with a broken frame and you're wondering if it'll fit the Glock 47's frame, there's your answer. But if you have a Glock 19, a Glock 47 frame will accept your Glock 19 slide. As far as sight radius, comparing polymer sights, the Glock 47's sight radius measures 6.65 inches. On paper, it is longer compared to the Glock 17's sight radius, 150 thousandths of an inch longer to be exact, as the distance between the Glock 17's front and rear sights only measures 6.5 inches. That 150 thousandths inch longer sight radius should greatly translate to tangible accuracy advantage. If it doesn't make you shoot more accurately, then maybe you should spend more time in the range. The sights. The Glock 47 slide remains compatible with sights and other accessories made for the smaller Glock 19, so accessorizing wouldn't be a problem. And speaking of sights, the Glock 47 comes with the usual polymer sights, though aftermarket steel sights and GNS or Glock steel night sights are also available. But with the Glock 47's full-size barrel, which I'll touch on in a bit, you wouldn't even need sights. If you'd ever need sights, then you should get a red dot instead. And if you do end up getting a red dot, you shouldn't have problems installing it on the Glock 47. The MOS slide cuts. The Glock 47 comes in standard MOS configuration, and all Glock pistols with a standard MOS configuration come with 4 numbered MOS adapter plates, except for 3 models: the Glock 20 Gen 5 MOS, the Glock 21 Gen 5 MOS, and the Glock 47. Those 3 models only come with a single adapter plate that will fit red dots from Trijicon, Ameriglow, and Holosun except the Holosun 509. Like all Gen 5 Glock pistols with standard MOS configuration, the Glock 47's MOS plate is made of plastic, which shouldn't be a big deal to you because you probably won't use it anyway. Most people who own a Glock pistol with slide cuts don't use that plate once they install an optic. And it costs more time and money to make them anyway, so Gaston's decision to make those plates out of plastic should be a win-win for everyone. If you have a problem with that, well, that is your problem. The barrel. As far as the barrel, the Glock 47 uses a 4.49-inch barrel, which has the exact same length as the barrel found in the original Glock 17. A longer barrel in general provides more room for a bullet to accelerate, resulting in a higher bullet velocity, improved accuracy, and better terminal performance overall. We all know how much more accurate the Glock 17's barrel is over the Glock 19's barrel, which is 470 thousandths of an inch shorter, or the Glock 43's barrel, which is 1.08 inches shorter. Gaston must have considered the differences in barrel lengths very carefully when he decided on the length of the Glock 47's barrel. But since the Glock 47's barrel and slide lengths put it in the full-size category, that means some people may have problems carrying it concealed. To be fair, it wasn't made for concealed carry. But people who know what they're doing have no problems carrying a 6-inch barreled Smith & Wesson 686 concealed. You shouldn't have issues carrying a Glock 47 concealed. The frame. Let's now talk about the frame, starting with the grip. The Glock 47 frame's overall width measures 1.34 inches, 80 thousandths of an inch thicker than the Glock 17 frame's overall width that measures 1.26 inches. As far as overall height, the Glock 47's height is the same as the Glock 17's. Both pistols measure 5.47 inches from the bottom of the grip with the mag inserted to the top of the rear sights. Where the frames of the Glock 47 and the Glock 17 differ is in the trigger reach, that is, how far away you have to stretch your trigger finger to be able to pull the trigger. The Glock 47's trigger distance measures 2.76 inches, 70 thousandths of an inch shorter than the Glock 17's. It's not much of a difference, if I'm honest. It gets interesting, though, when the Glock 47's height is compared to the Glock 19's, which, with the mag inserted, measures only 4.02 inches from the bottom of the grip to the top of the rear sights, 470 thousandths of an inch shorter than the Glock 47, which is to be expected because it holds 2 less rounds of 9mm in its slightly shorter magazine. The Glock 19 might be easier to conceal than the Glock 47, but not by much. Which means if you have a Glock 19 and you're wondering whether you should get a Glock 47, just sell your Glock 19 and buy a Glock 47. The internals. I mentioned earlier that the Glock 47 is essentially a full-size version of the compact-sized Glock 19. That's because they have the same recoil spring, the same guide rod, the same innards, the same internals, the same controls, the same everything. The only difference between them is their dimensions. As far as the trigger, the Glock 47 is a Gen 5 pistol. All Glock Gen 5 triggers feel a bit smoother and crisper with less of that mushy feel commonly associated with older generation Glock pistols. This is true for the Glock 47 even with its advertised trigger pull weight of 26 newtons or around 5.84 pounds, which means if you purchase a Glock 47 and you hate its trigger, you should probably look for anger management seminars to go to. The point. Now that we're done looking at all the boring details, it's time to talk about what makes the Glock 47 one of the most important pistols ever released by Glock. Nothing. Oh, if any of you are confused, let me rephrase. There is nothing about the Glock 47 that makes it important. In case you couldn't tell, all my comments and opinions so far have been tongue-in-cheek. Whatever happened to your sense of humor, Gramps? There is nothing about the Glock 47 to write home about. Sure, if you have a Glock 19, you can mix and match. You can put the Glock 47 slide, barrel, recoil spring, and guide rod on top of your Glock 19's frame, and what you get is a Glock 19 with a bit of a longer slide. But the Glock 47's barrel is only 470 thousandths of an inch longer than the Glock 19, and if you do a bit of research on ballistics, you'll see that that extra length doesn't amount to any significant improvements in accuracy and ballistic performance. If anything, the longer barrel will only make your Glock 19 Frankenstein a little slower to draw out of your IWB holster. I can hear some Glock fanboys in the background saying you can put the Glock 19 slide, barrel, recoil spring, and guide rod on top of the Glock 47's frame, and that will give you a Glock 45. Fair enough. If you have a Glock 19 and you've been toying with the prospect of getting a Glock 45, then getting a Glock 47 makes some sense. But it is going to be much more sensible to just buy extra Glock 17 mags and X-grip extended mag sleeves so you can carry your Glock 19 with 17 rounds in the mag, which is really what the Glock 45 is. Speaking of Glock fanboys, if you stop and think about it, it's not just Gaston who's the problem here. It's the Glock fanboys as well. Gaston bakes the exact same moose turd pie over and over and over, each time reusing a couple of old features from previous generations and adding very few improvements, if any. then repackages it and markets it as if it's brand new. Fanboys lap it up and even defend it against reasonable criticisms from people like yours truly, who know that Gaston can come up with something better than this crap. How do I know? Modularity. Let's talk a bit about modularity. There was a time when Glocks were the only modular pistols on the market. Certain Glock pistol models with similarly sized frames and mags let you change calibers by simply swapping barrels and recoil springs. For example, you can convert a Glock pistol chambered in 10mm like the Glock 20 to load and shoot 45 ACP by putting a Glock 21 slide, barrel, and recoil spring assembly on top of the Glock 20's frame. It works pretty well, but it's only a caliber conversion. You can't convert a full-size pistol to a compact or a subcompact. Fast forward to 2007, SIG started releasing a pistol that is much more modular, the SIG P250. Not too long after, SIG released the P320, and just a few years ago, the P365. These models don't just allow for barrel and recoil spring swaps between similar-sized pistols, they also allow for pistol size conversions via their fire control unit or FCU. If you have a SIG FCU and a couple of different barrels, frames, slides, recoil spring assemblies, and magazines, you can practically build any kind of pistol you want without restrictions. And there are many other pistol brands that now use SIG's model of modularity: Beretta, Walther, Canik, etc. Compare this modularity to the Glock 47's outdated version of modularity. The only Glock model it lets you swap frames, barrels, and recoil spring assemblies with is the Glock 19. It won't let you swap components with the Glock 43, the Glock 43X, the Glock 48, or even the Glock 17. Heck, if Glock was seriously trying to develop a modular handgun, they didn't even have to build a Glock 47. They could have just built a Glock 17 Gen 6 with a fire control unit similar to that of the SIG P365s, so it can swap components with other Glock pistols. But they weren't trying to innovate with the Glock 47. Gaston made them for a contract with the Customs Border Patrol years ago. Rumor has it that the CBP wanted to adopt compact and full-size Glock pistols but required them to have interchangeable parts so agents could simply swap slides, barrels, and frames whenever they felt like it. Leaks of the Glock 47 started flooding the interwebs in 2019, hyping up the fanboys. Before Gaston knew it, there was a high demand for the Glock 47, and the rest is history. Should you buy? Don't get me wrong, the Glock 47, no matter how lackluster I just made it sound, is still a Glock pistol. It's as reliable, as well-made, and as affordable as any of the plastic pistols the Austrian gunmaker has made since the 1980s. And since it is a Gen 5, it has a pretty good trigger. If you've never owned a Glock before and you're looking to buy one, the Glock 47 is a solid choice for a first-time Glock owner if you need a pistol for home defense that doubles as a range gun. But it is nothing special. What it is proof positive of Glock's complacency. And that's all I have for you in this video. If you're a Glock fanboy and I hurt your feelings, feel free to roast me or my beautiful AI-generated voice in the comments section. Hit like if you liked the video, dislike if you didn't like it, and subscribe for more. And please, click on that little bell icon while you're at it. Again, this is Mike, your resident Glock critic here at MADMAN Review, signing off.